Registration is now closed for the Canada Open Karate Championships. If you have not registered, too bad. I guess you can't go. However, you can still... hold on. Hold on. I was going to say, you can still tune in to the Canada Open Karate Championships as they will be streaming live on karatebc.org/Canada Open. Live streaming of the Canada Open for free on June 2nd and 3rd. You can watch them become the second annual Karate Canada Open champion. Canada Open Karate champion. There we go. We'll get it. Tune in. There it is. Let's get going with this show before I stumble over my words. Richard Mosdell, take it away.
Karate 360, let's start the show. You will kick high and I will blow from local to global. It's the thing that we love. Karate!
San Rokumaru. Now in 1080p.
Exactly.
New and improved.
I like this idea.
It's looking good. So for those of you that are not watching right now because you can't, change it up a little bit. Because that's what we do. That's what we can. It's our podcast. Right. We can do whatever the damn heck we want.
And look how clear that video is.
And
it should be nice and clear with the sound.
I think so. So it should all be good. So we heard your cries. We heard your worries that maybe you couldn't hear us properly. You couldn't see us as clearly as you see us day to day. So we have answered. We have upgraded. I would say we've upgraded.
Or just start using our...
No, we've upgraded. Richard Mosdell, we've upgraded.
We've upgraded.
Don't give away our secrets.
We've turned the dials differently.
That's right. And look at us now. So there we go.
Want to say about something with the Canada Open. You can still register as a volunteer.
Oh, and we can always use more volunteers.
That's right. You can always use more volunteers. So if you need to register, go to that website.
Great thing to do for any parents that are already going to be there, any family, anybody who's already going to be there.
If your karate club's going to be there and you're not planning to bring at least one volunteer,
100%.
Man,
don't even come. I mean, do come, but you should be bringing.
Keep your money now.
Yeah. But it's a great opportunity for everybody in the family, everybody in the dojo to get involved.
When there's over 600 athletes coming,
ooh, damn,
there's well over 600 spectators that are coming.
Yeah, 100%. We're gonna need some volunteers.
Yes. We actually have a really good list right now. However, we could take some.
You can always use more volunteers in karate tournaments. If you've been to one, you know what I mean. How can they let you know? How do they let you know?
Just go to the website karatebc.org/Canada Open. You'll see all the links there. And
perfect.
Just click. It says volunteering. You click on it. Click on that again. Fill out the online form, and a fantastic gentleman named Lawrence.
Perfect.
We'll get back to you.
Lawrence will get back to you. So there it is. Go to karatebc.org to help us with the second annual Canada Open Championship.
And to tie into the streaming, we stream an archive onto YouTube automatically.
YouTube?
Yeah, so archives, right? So you look at it through the YouTube account.
Nice.
And it archives onto YouTube. So you can volunteer, and if you happen to miss somebody that you wanted to watch, we've got you covered. We'll archive it. And this year, you want to hear what's really cool?
Yes.
In the corner of the screen will be the two athlete names and their scores as they're happening
live. I love that. Is there going to be any announcers?
There is no plan at the moment, but there's always a chance.
Always a chance?
Yep.
Good. We could get somebody on there.
We could get somebody on there.
Perfect.
Especially somebody who's only has to coach one person on
Sunday. Yeah. that's what I was thinking. I'd do it for sure.
We do need an MC too.
On Sunday? Because Saturday I'll be coaching, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. So, but we do need one on Sunday.
Whatever I can do, whatever you need me to do, I'm there Sunday and I'll do whatever.
So let's chat after, ladies and gentlemen. We may have our MC for Sunday and an announcer, because actually someone who's doing announcing and MCing could be kind of cool.
There you go. I'm totally up for it, 100%.
Actually,
I've been known to be an MC. I MC'd a couple weddings before.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got some MCing experience.
I can see you doing really well at that. Plus, you do have experience with broadcasts on a podcast.
That's 100% right. Yeah, that's true.
No, it would make sense. Like you could announce it and then I got to announce some results. That's part of the job.
And come to YouTube or wherever and go to Karate BC and watch it. So.
Absolutely. And the whole thing could be just brought to you by Karate 360.
Awesome. I love it.
It's looking good. My friend Johnny's really good at emceeing. Unfortunately, he's going to be in Seattle that weekend.
Okay.
So, but he's big and gregarious. Have you ever met Johnny?
No. You've told me lots about him. You showed me some pictures of him. You've told me all kinds of stories.
Like, ladies and gentlemen. That's great. So
there we go. So the Karate Canada Open Championships is June 2nd and 3rd. By the time this comes out on Monday, it's going to be less than a week away.
Less than a week.
So we look forward to seeing you guys there. If you see us there, feel free to talk. I mean, we'll both be busy and we'll probably ignore you, but come say hi.
We'll take a selfie with you.
We'll probably take a selfie with you.
Yeah.
Come say hi, and we'd love to hear from you guys for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll give you a little shout out on the podcast, which maybe we'll do one from the Canada
We
Open.
can probably pull that because all I have to do is shake hands and kiss babies, so I'm good.
What are you
That's
doing?
what politicians do, right?
Oh, shake hands and kiss babies. Yeah. I don't know what the tournament director usually does, but
at the head table in front of the thousands of people.
Perfect.
Yeah, my job, all I have to do is just make sure everyone else is doing their job.
Awesome. There it is. Now, speaking of YouTube, have you saw the first Karate Kid episode yet?
I have
the
not.
Cobra Kai. Sorry, it's called Cobra Kai.
I have not seen the Cobra Kai yet, but I heard that they already got picked up for the second season.
That's right. So the first season was kind of like like a pilot episode.
Can
or
we
something.
see it here in Canada?
Yeah, for sure. You can go on YouTube and watch it. Actually, it was kind of cool. YouTube had it set up. So on YouTube when they have the little logo up in the corner and you click on it, and if you click on that logo, it takes you to like basically whatever YouTube wants you to see that day. Well, on the day that this came out, you clicked on the logo, you're going to see the new Karate Kid episode. Yeah, episode 1. So it was highlighted by YouTube. I'm not sure exactly how many views it's got, but I know it's got great. The reviews it's got is great. It looks like it's living up almost to the Karate Kid saga. So yeah, you can go to YouTube, watch it. Just type in Karate Kid. I think it's called. It's actually called the Karate Kid Saga Continues, episode 1. So go watch that.
I will check that out this weekend, and I will report back.
Yeah, so it's like 23
Did you watch it?
long or something. I have not watched it yet.
Okay, so let's both watch it.
Both watch it,
and we'll talk about the podcast next
Awesome. There it is. And you guys watch it too. That way you can kind of follow along and do what we're doing. But what it kind of got me thinking about, something we haven't really talked about on this podcast before, is different media for karate. So this Karate Kid saga is now out again. Obviously there's movies out there, but what I want to know from you is, besides Sunny Leads, what is your favorite martial arts book?
Oh man, that's a toughie.
You must have lots of them.
Yeah. One that I really liked was Moving Zen by C.W. Nicol.
You told me about this one.
So C.W. Nicol is from Wales. He went to Japan in the early 60s to do judo and karate, and then he wrote a book about his initial training in Shotokan when Nakazawa Sensei and was leading the JKA.
Okay.
And so he wrote a book all about it. He stayed in Japan, became a celebrity, became a multi-millionaire.
Awesome.
And now he owns like this big tract of wilderness land that he takes care of. Like he takes care of how the trees should be and rehabilitates it. Because Japan kind of just chopped all the trees down during the last 150 years. And now there's barely slowly growing it all back, but in kind of a haphazard way.
Yep.
So he does this really cool forest management thing. And so he actually still writes a column and writes books, but he did really well in Japan. So I like the title of his book too, Moving Zen, because that's kind of like how I think about karate.
Is this the one you were telling me about where it's got a lot of baseball references, baseball analogies?
That's called the Tao.
No. Hold on. The way of the Wa.
Yeah.
It's all about Wa.
It's all about Wa, and that is all about baseball. And you could drop the word baseball out and put karate in.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yep. So there's not a lot of great martial art books. Do you have a martial art book that you like?
It's not karate related, and it's more so for entertainment purposes completely. Do you know the ex-UFC fighter Forrest Griffin?
I know that name. Yeah.
So he was the first ultimate, like the reality TV Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
He was the original Ultimate Fighter winner from season 1, and he went on to be heavyweight champion. Blah blah blah. He's one of my favorite fighters from when I first started UFC. He wrote a book basically about his life, his upbringing, and getting into the UFC, which is really good, and it really breaks down like kind of how hard you have to work to get to that level, to get to the top level, and then just like not just how hard you have to work, but the breaks that you have to get as well. And you have to have luck on your side. You have to have your team. So it just kind of brings all that together. It's really funny. He's a funny guy. It's well written. That's the first half of the book. The second half of the book is even more funny. It's self-defense moves that Forrest Griffin suggests you do that are not at all like any self-defense moves that you will ever know. And I don't really want to ruin too many of them. Okay. I can show you. I have the book at home. But if you want a good laugh and a good read, I don't even remember what it's called, but Forrest Griffin's book is one of the best.
That's hilarious.
It's just pure entertainment and comedy reasons. Yeah.
Here in the office, I think I showed you, I have the English translations for Hirokazu Kanazawa's biography. He was a famous JK guy,
right,
who split off and made his own JK group. And then Tatsuo Suzuki, who's famous for taking Wataru to Europe, his book. And they come out at the same time period, and they both come out of Tokyo, 2 different universities, 2 different systems. Both went overseas, totally revolutionized stuff. Suzuki stayed over, Kanazawa when Sensei went back. And they both went to Europe and other places. And Suzuki's like, I was so great. I was the greatest. I was always great. Everything I did was great. And Kanazawa is way more humble. And he's like, I tried really hard and I kept breaking the rules. And I would go places and get totally lost. And Kanazawa Sensei's book in English is really good. Otsuka Sensei, Suzuki Sensei, he's passed away now. It's really interesting into his mind, like how he sort of thought.
Sure.
And he kind of drops these little hint bombs all around. But Kanazawa Sensei's book is really genuine.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Really, you read it and you kind of get a sense of the time period of him growing up in the 50s and 60s, and then about why karate's created and how it was for him and all the mistakes he made and all the things he did right.
Awesome. So
So you can just look up Kanazawa. There's an English translation out there.
Awesome. So there's a couple books for you guys. If you like books, you like karate, you like martial arts, go
Totally.
check them out. There it is. Another thing I want to talk about before we dived into some karate global news is some more karate combat stuff.
Karate combat.
So this is the Full Contact Karate
Mhm.
League that's come out, run by, I think, Bazru. No, he's a member of it or whatever. But the Full Contact League, you've heard of it. We've talked about it. A couple things that I found out. Did you listen? We're going to talk actually about, I think you have something later on about an interview on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Mhm.
He had Bazru on
Yep.
a while ago, and he also had Big John McCarthy, the UFC referee, on as well. Both of the times talking about karate combat. And just a couple more rules that we kind of figured out here type thing. So karate combat is full contact. You can take them down. You can punch them for 5 seconds while they're on the ground, but you can't go on the ground. You have to stay up over top of them. This is kind of weird. There's no leg kicks at the knee or above. So you can kick the shin, basically, is only allowed. And you can't throw a hook punch on the inside.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how they regulate this, but they say you're only allowed to throw a long hook punch.
So you can't get nose to nose and hook them.
So you can't get nose to nose and hook them. So it takes away a little bit of the clinch game, I guess, a little bit. So trying to keep it a little bit more striking and a little bit more karate-like, I guess, or traditional karate, I should say. But it's still catching some wind. I'm sure, just like any sport, the rules will change, they'll evolve, and we'll kind of see what happens out of this. But I think it's fun to kind of watch. They just signed another batch of athletes too, so I don't know how they're paying these athletes, whether it's with cash or Bitcoin. But I hope not Bitcoin at this point. But they're signing people. They just signed another Spanish karate athlete that came from Damian Quintero's dojo.
Okay.
So it's looking good. Their next event is going to be in mid-June in Athens, Greece. So we'll keep an eye out on that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see however much money they have raised and how long it will carry them through before if attention actually sticks.
Yeah, because they right now have this, they're calling this a season, last event in Miami, this event, and there's 2 more events that take them right up until, I believe, October. So, yeah, we'll see if how long the money can hold out on that, and again, how many eyeballs they can get.
Yeah, and then how people are paying to watch it live?
No, that's the other thing. They're putting it out for free, basically. They live stream it for free, like the Canada Open Karate Championships. And then same thing, you can archive them and watch it through karate.com, basically.
So then they're looking at the gate.
So they're looking at the gate. So in terms of money, it's coming from the gate, sponsorships, obviously, and then any merchandise sales at the venue or whatever.
And maybe they're trying to build, they start a following with 10,000 people, but by the end of the thing, there's 1 million people tuning in.
It's interesting because they, in terms of coming and watching it live, they restrict it. It's kind of like a guest list, basically. You have to be a guest list. Obviously, the tickets probably aren't cheap, but it's not like a stadium that they're selling out. There's maybe 100 people there watching. Maybe. So, and again, you have to be selected almost to come and watch it. So It's interesting how that's.
There's some Karate 360 guys that they could select. We can do a live broadcast.
100%. We can do whatever. Yeah, for sure. Just give us some of that Bitcoin. If it's free, we'll take it. All right. So there we go. That's kind of what we wanted to talk about. Let's get into a little bit of karate global news, though. Okay, so a couple of events that we haven't talked about yet. We're going to do it a little differently. We're not going to necessarily just break down all the results, but the OKF, the Oceanic Karate Federation, had their junior cadet and U21 championships in Okinawa. So again, these are junior athletes in U21, all under U21. So we're not going to go through all of the.
Oh, these are the AKF, Asian Karate Federation.
It's supposed to be the A. Okay, I thought the OKF was going. Hold on one sec. I screwed something up here. You're right. It is the AKF. I just put OKF. It was the OKF junior cadet and U21. AKF, sorry. In Okinawa. So that happened. The results by nation, though, is kind of what we wanted to talk about. Not so much the individual athletes, but the results by nation. In first, by a landslide, was Japan, 14 golds, 24 overall medals with 14 golds, and then Kazakhstan and the Islamic Republic of Iran. So that's the again, the AKF, the Asian Karate Federation.
We're talking about a massive population of people who do karate now.
Yes, for sure. And not surprising, Japan, again, on top. It seems like in every major event, Japan seems to come on top, and again, at the junior level they are. But it's going to be interesting to see some of these athletes come up when they get into like the World Championships, which some of them maybe will qualify for later on this year. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that and keep an eye on those nations as well. Another thing that we missed, another tournament, was the Ekf Senior Championship. So the European Karate Federation Senior Championships were happening as well last week, May 10th to the 12th. And we do have the results on that one as well. I got my links all screwed up here, I think, because here we go. I got it. So again, we're not going to go through, but we do want to highlight a couple people that won. So in kata, female kata, Sandra Sanchez back on top again.
Yes.
From Spain. So big Spanish athlete there. I love all her videos that she puts out on the social media.
Yes, they're awesome.
Sanchez. She got her social media game down pat. But she won gold over Viviana Botaro of Italy. A couple other people that we wanted to highlight here that you might have heard of before. You might have heard of this gentleman before, Rafael Agaev.
Yes.
Winning the minus 75 kilograms, coming off of his karate combat fight that he had a couple months ago. He's been. Remember when we were wondering why he was gone? Remember we thought maybe he was injured and why isn't he doing these tournaments?
No, he's doing this thing.
And then he showed up in that karate combat, so we didn't really make that connection. But he won gold in the minus 75 kilograms pretty handily, it looks like, in terms of the scores. So Rafael Agaev winning gold there, minus 75. The other kata, male kata, again from Spain, Damian Quintero, again just showing he's the best male kata athlete around right now, and just cementing that, really. So again, it'll be interesting to kind of watch them. Anybody stand out here for you, Richard?
Well, I wanted to go over the nation tally because actually the men's kata, Damian Quintero's kata, his round, Agaev's, and one of the girls, I'm going to talk about in technical tactical.
Okay.
So for the nation, the top 5 was Spain, then Turkey, Italy, France, Switzerland.
And these standings are based off of their, similarly to Olympics do it, where you get so many points for gold. So
yes, right.
Gold gives you the most points.
So, for example, Spain got 3 gold, 2 silver, 1 bronze.
3 gold for Spain, 2 of them the kata.
That's right. Now listen to this. Turkey got 3 gold, 1 silver, 6 bronze.
Oh, damn. And what place were they in?
Second
place.
So silver carries much, much heavier weight than bronze here. So just by getting 1 less silver, that slipped them to second place, even though they had 5 more bronzes.
Damn, that's crazy.
In third place was Italy with 2 golds, so 1 less than the other 2, 3 silvers and 5 bronze. Then France was 203 and Switzerland was 200. Interesting on this list, there is no medal for England or the United Kingdom.
None.
0.
Interesting.
Yeah, they didn't get on the board, which is quite interesting. Because then we go Azerbaijan, Ukraine, Bosnia, Macedonia, Croatia, Austria. And here's the other thing. Serbia came in at 11th. So getting a host bump, hometown advantage. They got a silver and bronze. So silver and bronze, not bad. Maybe they weren't so strong, but yeah, quite interesting. No England, where England would dominate like in the 80s and 90s. You know?
Nothing.
Yep.
Crazy. That's pretty crazy. All right, one more thing we want to talk about here in Karate Global News is the debut of the Youth League. So this is something that the WKF put into. They accepted it last year. It's now starting this year. So again, K1 Youth League. It makes its debut in Sofia, Bulgaria, May 25th to 27th. So that's by the time that this podcast comes out, it's going to be wrapping up. But what this Youth League, it's just a way for the WKF to showcase their top youth athletes. So instead of having all these youth championships in all these different countries and nations, they're now putting it all together and having a youth league, and they're going to have 4 different events throughout the year. So this first one coming up this weekend is in Sofia, Bulgaria. They're also going to have one scheduled here in Croatia, as well as Mexico and Italy later on in the year. So 4 events for a K1, similar to the way the K1 Premier League does it, but now it's a youth league. So really highlighting the youth league. And it's expected here at this first one in Bulgaria, there's going to be 2,000 young athletes competing.
Holy Moses.
So that's crazy, but a great way to highlight the young athletes. And
last year the training camp had 2,000 people.
That's right. And remember, we kind of talked about that a little bit. They had almost like an in-house tournament.
Now youth division is 12-13.
Yes,
but youth league, this means, is this up to 18 years old?
That's a good question. That I don't know.
It's probably going to be.
I would imagine.
Oh, it's probably going to be up to U21.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a U21.
Looks like, it'll be right up to U21. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. Because I was like, wow, 2,000 12 and 13-year-olds.
Could you imagine?
That's a huge group. That's great. That's great. It does put more pressure on people to compete earlier, sooner.
It does.
At a higher level.
Yeah, it puts a little bit more emphasis on it, which, there's good and bad about it. But it also gets them primed for it, really for high performance. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's good, though. So
Sofia, Umag, Cancun, Venice. So
right.
2 times in Western Europe, 1 in Eastern Europe, and 1 in North America.
Yes.
Very interesting.
If you say so.
That's just reading the list. Just reading the list, man.
All right, there you go. So that's our Karate Global News. That's coming up, and there it is. Let's go on. Technical Tactical. Take us away, Richard Mosdell.
All right, to help people understand Technical Tactical better, what I'm going to do every week is have 1, 2, or 3 videos, and we just look at one little tiny clip, and we'll describe it for the people who aren't looking at the videos or listening to the podcast.
Perfect.
But we'll put the links in here if Kalan can kindly put the links in here when he posts it all up.
I'm sure I can kind of put the posts in.
And because I'm sure you do it with the news ones and stuff. So listening to Georges St. Pierre on the Joe Rogan, GSP, because he was just on yesterday.
That's right.
On Joe Rogan. So listen to it. Lots of interesting things. Again, an athlete talking about being an athlete at a high level, right?
Yeah.
And all about them being an athlete. But one of the things I liked is him talking about his recent win was that he'd been training more karate. We're always looking for bring the, what do you call it? I'm forgetting my English here.
The sizzle, not the steak?
Sizzle, bring the steak of the sizzle.
Okay.
Let's put some concrete, real figure numbers. Let's, quantify the value of karate here.
Sure,
Let's bring it, make it real, right? So he said he was training more karate. He was obviously doing everything, Muay Thai and
of course,
everything.
Mixed martial arts.
Mixed martial arts, right? But he was training more karate in the ability in point sparring to close the gap. So I thought it was really interesting.
And he's one of the best at doing that.
Well, this last fight too, especially.
Yeah.
So if you go to the girls' fight here between Greece and France, this was France won at the EKF Championships.
So this was in the EKF Championships that just happened, the plus 68 kilogram female division.
That's right. So France, Florentine, Anna-Lori Florentine was against Elena Chatsilidou from Greece. She won with 3 points. And one of the really cool things in this match, in her 3 points, and remember, finals is tough because a lot of times they don't throw a lot of techniques, right?
They don't do anything.
She basically always does a double bounce, and she gets it. So if you go to, on the video, 1 minute, 6 seconds, she's bouncing around here. She's slowly moving down. She does a little bounce, and she stretches over top with a reverse punch over the other person's guard. So you want to see it? can see.
No, it'll help you describe, I think.
Okay. So she's starting to bounce. She's moving backwards. She's going to bounce forward, tap with her lead hand, and then with the reverse punch on the second bounce forward, reach right over and almost drop the punch. See on the head? So she does that 3 times. One was a lead hand. There's a bounce with a counter to the body on the second one. And then the last one, she will bounce forward and just lightly tag her with her lead hand. There's a spinning kick that Grease does and clips overhead.
Right there, yeah.
See how that little bit of a bounce and goes forward?
We were just working this in the class here today. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice little stretch. So one of the things which was really nice, and again, you could be competing or you could just be training in the dojo with your friends and your teammates and stuff, is the ability to first keep your hands up, keep your arms loose, and that little extra bounce forward and then stretch your shoulder.
Yeah, yeah.
And then a nice good pull
Retraction,
back.
yeah.
One problem people have is they score and they keep bouncing forward, right? And so that was a really clean and look back. So I thought that was a really good one.
Really good, yeah.
All right. So then the other one that I have on here is with Aya.
Rafael Aya. So minus 75 kilograms. Again, this is at the EKF championships that just happened here last week.
So he does this really great counter where the other guy is bouncing and he shoots right over top. And Agiev scores right on his body as the guy is in the air. I will find it eventually, but I'll describe it to you as I'm talking. So this is a Gabar Harpastak. Or is it
Gabar Harpspataki. Harpspataki.
Yeah, and it's against Agiev from Azerbaijan, and
if you find it, turn it because I can actually see it. On the thing, yeah.
And it's Hungary. The other athlete's from Hungary, and so you'll notice that this is how he defends against that bounce. He shoots under him. So as the fighter comes forward, and he does that reach like we just saw, Agiev's going to duck underneath and punch him. So here it comes. He goes forward and goes under.
Yeah.
And he gets it. So it's a very little bit of a head nod just to the side as that person does the bounce and shoot. He sees that first bounce, reacts, and dips his head and counters.
And of course, you have to have perfect timing on
Beautiful timing.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is he's not letting himself get distracted by all the bouncing.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Or any of the extra movement that he's doing there.
Yeah, because in old school martial arts, you don't block until it's like 1 inch from your face, right? Yeah. And you got to have that timing. So I thought that was really interesting. So you can see those techniques.
All right, yeah, I'll put those videos up.
Then the last one, and I just thought this is interesting. So Dimian Quintaro from Spain won against Ali Sofoglu from Turkey. They faced each other last year as well.
Oh, good find.
Yep. And Ali does a Shotokan kata Sansai, which has a lot of knife hand blocks. A lot of knife hand blocks. So he's looking sharp right at the beginning. But what's interesting, this is really high level. He starts to look tired through the kata.
Really?
Yeah, you look at his shoulders. So really tight. See that jump and that spin? Yeah. So he's going to tighten his fists really tight. Okay, he's going to move forward. He's lifting his shoulders up, and he's tight. Notice that he's even arching his back on the way down.
Yeah.
So he starts to breathe really heavy just near the end of the kata. And he's like, when he finishes his move, his whole gi's like moving. Now it is very, very physical at this level.
Yes.
But what was interesting, he picked a kata which he is actually looks like he's getting more and more tense as he's going through. Dimian Quintaro uses a smooth super rampe.
Smooth as butter.
Yeah, smooth as his hair is slicked back. Yep.
The Spanish dream.
And look, you can see that his shoulders are relaxed, so his hand speed is way up.
Yeah.
Right?
He's just so good.
And then things that you bring up in the fitness training, members are driving from the floor.
Yes.
So you got to keep your arms loose.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that even at the highest level, you can still see. These guys are really fantastic.
But obviously still things that you can work on yourself.
Yeah, and the attention.
That's the power of YouTube and the power of all this content now is you can go on these things and you can find whatever athlete you want and look at the way they do things, try and emulate them a little bit, learn from them, change it. You can actually really become a good fighter or kata athlete just by watching YouTube videos.
We are spoiled, but we're only spoiled as long as we dig something out and actually practice it.
I was listening
to this guy, I can't remember his name, but he's in like skateboarding, and now skateboarding is an Olympic sport, right?
That's right.
And they go, okay, someone figures out a trick, and they did this in snowboarding. They figured out a trick, and they want to videotape it. Like, we figured out this new trick, and 5 days later around the world, like all the other top guys figured it out. Yeah. And then GSP and his thing is like, I was watching these guys just like take down and roll in this match. I'm like, I want to do that. And then Joe Rogan's like, really? You're just going to learn it off of video? I was like, why not?
Yeah.
The old days, I would watch somebody roll and I'd go out and figure out. So now I'm like, I pick things I like and I go try and figure it out.
Yeah.
We're spoiled.
All right, there we go. Thanks for that, Richard. That was awesome. Technical tactical. My little fitness training tip of the week is going to be real quick, real short, real sweet. It's just a certain amount of stretches that I think you should be doing to improve your karate performance.
All right.
Remember, there's a couple different types of stretches you can do. There's dynamic stretches, which is when you're actually like swinging stuff, moving it around. These should be done before karate.
Mm-hmm.
Certain dynamic stretches I think are important are like just leg swings. Leg swings are important.
Yeah.
Whether it's forward, whether it's like, kind of up towards your head to stretch your hamstring. You want to also go back to get your hip flexors as well. And of course, you also want to go sideways as well to really open up that hip joint. So anything that works around the hip, that's what you want to work in terms of and post, actually, your karate training. So do a lot of leg swings, do a lot of arm rotations, all that kind of stuff. But you also want to do some activation stuff, so like quick leg drives, knee drives, all that kind of stuff before. Afterwards, and this is kind of where more of the stretching statically kind of comes into play. A couple stretches that I think are really important. Anything that works around the hip flexors. The hip flexors at the front of the leg, attached to the front of the leg, those are the limiting factors for karate athletes. When you get tight hips, you can't move as well, you can't kick as well, your performance just goes down. So we really want to keep those hip flexors pliable. We really want to keep them moving and being able to stretch. So a couple ways you can do that is like a deep lunge stretch, and there's actually a series of stretches that I like to train people to do to really get those hip flexors. But basically, you're just in a long lunge stance with the back leg on the floor, so the knee's actually on the floor, and you want to pull that back knee back as far as you can, and then think about not so much falling forward, but pushing the hips forward. So you're actually thinking about the hips, thrusting the hips forward as the knees on the floor. You're in a lunge position. It's really going to stretch down the front of your leg into the hip flexor. You really want to focus on that one. So you can do that on both sides. Other ones you want to do too is like a butterfly stretch. So sitting with your bottoms of your feet together, pulling your heels in nice and close, pushing your knees down with your elbows, and then pulling your nose down to your heels. That's
the hard part.
That's the hard part. Doing both at the same time too.
That's tough.
You want to do both of those. Again, that's hip flexors, so you want to get those. And then finally, you want to make sure your hamstrings are a little bit tight too. So just any type of sit and reach, or like we do here, and a lot of other places do, where you have one person on the wall, you have the other person lift your legs straight up and really try and get that. So anything that's around the hips, you're going to want to stretch those out. Just remember, before dynamic stretching, before training, after static stretching for relaxation and recovery.
It's interesting how many adults walk in and go, I want to do it, but I'm tight. I'm like, we'll loosen you up.
For sure. Just
got to follow it.
For sure. Yeah. And make sure, as always, you're warm before you stretch. So all these make sure you do a warm up before you stretch. If you're sitting at home and think, man, I'm tight, I should stretch, you probably should.
Yes.
But make sure you warm your muscles first with a hot shower at the very least.
Yeah, one thing I'll do at night is I'll wrap my legs. Like I'll wear I'll be wearing track pants. I'll put blanket on top.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll almost start sweating.
Yeah. Any way to get the blood flowing through there is good and get the temperature up.
Lying on the couch just doesn't work.
Doesn't work. So there it is. That's my quick and easy fitness training tip of the week.
Nice.
All right, so let's just go over a couple upcoming tournaments, and we'll wrap this baby up. May is all done by the time this comes out. 25th to 27th is that youth league we were talking about in Sofia, Bulgaria, but June is jam-packed with events. The next K1 Premier League is in Turkey. Istanbul Open is June 8th to the 10th. That's the K1 Premier League. Then we have the PKF Senior Championships in Chile. That's another big one, the middle of the month. And then later we have the Youth Olympic Game qualifying tournament in Umag, Croatia. That's at the end of the month, June 29th and 30th. And we're getting, of course, we're missing one, the Canada Open Karate Championships.
Absolutely.
June 2nd and 3rd, which we will see
Be a fan.
everybody out. But we are getting awfully close to those World Championships
coming up in the fall, right?
Spain in November. November is the Senior Championships in Madrid. So
big.
Leading up to there. So upcoming tournaments, lots of stuff happening now in the karate world. Things are firing, things are happening, and we're flying away here on the Karate 360 podcast.
I remember the guitarist for The Edge saying, to be a fan, it's...
The guitarist for U2?
Oh, YouTube, yeah, sorry.
Edge. Yeah.
The Edge. So being a fan of something means you almost have to... It's almost painful. You have to fight for it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just you really got to be in it.
Diehard.
You got to be diehard. You got to look up the results. You got to pick someone that you really like,
yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And you really got to follow them and try hard. That's what it means to be a fan. When your favorite band puts out a bad album, you're like, all right, but I'm there for the next one, right?
For sure.
You know, it's like with athletes, they go up and down, or people training in the dojo, your times, as you, sometime you're 10 more, sometime you're 10 left.
100%.
So, so hopefully we're bringing you guys some stuff that you can follow. So
hopefully, there it is.
Hopefully.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Kalan Anglos.
I'm Rich Mosdell.
This is the Karate 360 podcast. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye for now.
San
Roku
Maru.
Maru.
Let's do it again. Ready? San Roku Maru.
That was better.